We've got to talk about Meghan Markle.
I remember when she was born, big new addition to the family, and we just have a very young sister here.
Megyn Kelly has weighed in on Meghan Markle's failed plan.
She's absolutely ruthless.
Meghan Markle has never been far from controversy, but this latest storm is unlike any before. It isn't about her fashion choices, or her Netflix deals, or even her battles with the royal family. It's about something much more personal, something so simple yet so explosive that it shakes the foundation of her public identity, her age. And it all reignited because of one brutal moment when Megyn Kelly looked straight into the camera and asked a question no one in Meghan's camp ever wanted to hear. How old is she really? At first glance, it seemed like just another jab, the kind Kelly has made many times before. But this one landed differently. It wasn't a joke, it wasn't gossip, it was a direct hit. Kelly wasn't simply mocking Megyn, she was throwing a match onto a pile of rumors that had been smoldering for decades. Suddenly, whispers that many dismissed as internet chatter became a mainstream talking point, and Meghan Markle found herself trapped in a narrative she couldn't control. For years, Megyn has presented herself as born in 1981, meaning she's in her early 40s today. But critics claim the receipts tell another story. Old photos, alumni records, and scattered documents suggest she may be closer to 50. A few years shaved off for a Hollywood resume? That wouldn't be shocking. But if the discrepancy is real, it rewrites more than her career. It calls into question the story she's built her entire brand on.
There's nothing original here.
I hope you're having the best birthday you've ever had. Thank you for everything.
Which is really such a fake.
It all starts with a single image. Early 2000s, Northwestern University. A group photo at a salsa club, full of smiling faces and students enjoying the moment. Nothing unusual, until you look at the ages of the people in it. Most of the individuals captured that night were born in the early 1970s, which makes them now in their early 50s. And standing among them? Meghan Markle. Supposedly born almost a decade later, but fitting right in. Too right in, critics argue. That one photo set off a chain reaction. Because when you pull on one thread in Meghan's story, more begin to unravel.
When she was younger,
Hi, Maddie. I got an English award.
100% a bully brat.
Alumni listings that don't match, classmates who recall timelines that don't line up, birth records that appear altered or inconsistent. The palace, sources claim, noticed discrepancies too when Meghan entered royal life. Unlike casting directors in Hollywood, the monarchy is obsessive about paperwork. And according to insiders, those inconsistencies raised eyebrows inside the walls of Buckingham Palace, even if the public never heard about it at the time. This is where the suspicion grows darker. If the documents, records, and stories don't add up, then Meghan's biography doesn't look like a fairy tale anymore. It looks like a carefully constructed edit.
Meghan Markle's not an idiot.
I just made a little mark on my board and said, oh, there's another lie, click.
Yeah, she very clear idea of where she wanted her path to take her.
Her critics argue she hasn't just shaped her public persona. She's rewritten it. And once Kelly's comment put that idea back in the spotlight, the internet did what it always does. It ran with it. TikTok filled with videos comparing her supposed birth year with a salsa club photo. Users overlaid captions like, "Math is hard, isn't it?" while splicing side-by-side timelines. Reddit threads analyzed her Hollywood resume, pointing out that while actresses often trim years for casting opportunities, Meghan's case is different. She didn't just land acting roles, she married into one of the most scrutinized families on earth. That's the irony cutting deepest. In Hollywood, changing a resume is almost expected. But in royalty, every date and document becomes part of history. If Meghan's age really is off, then she didn't just fool casting directors, she fooled the monarchy.
Meghan Markle has nothing.
Someday Meghan's going to realize that she's obviously missing out.
I think when I was 30, if I thought about 50, I thought that is an awful long way away. And I don't really need to think about it. And then I blinked and I'm 50. That's crazy.
And that makes what might have been a vanity lie into a legacy scandal. The public reaction has been harsh. Many who once defended Meghan as a victim of palace cruelty now feel betrayed, as if they've been manipulated themselves. One viral comment summed it up perfectly: "We thought she was the victim. Turns out she might be the director of the whole play. The shift in tone is devastating for her image. People aren't laughing with her, they're laughing at her. And once the internet decides you're a punchline, there's no undoing it. Her PR team, insiders say, scrambled behind the scenes. Reports suggest they began monitoring alumni forums and online threads, flagging discussions that brought up suspicious dates. They blamed clerical errors, bureaucracy, and palace protocol.
That was her goal, hashtag goal, to marry Prince Harry.
For the longest time, she wanted to be a dancer.
But critics weren't buying it. The harder they tried to bury the rumors, the louder they seemed to echo. Even commentators, usually indifferent, began making sly digs, pointing out how odd it was that confusion seemed to follow Meghan at every turn. And then came the domino effect. Once people questioned her age, they started questioning everything else. Her son Archie's birth certificate, which was famously amended after its initial release, came back into the spotlight. Why, people asked, would anyone alter a birth certificate unless they had something to hide? Palace sources said it was procedure. Meghan's critics insisted it was part of a pattern. The inconsistencies piled up. Alumni discussions recalling Meghan in events that didn't match her official age. Yearbook photos that vanished or resurfaced only when her reputation was under fire. Even her first wedding in Jamaica was re-examined for how the timeline stacked against her public biography.
Well, that's her first wedding in Jamaica. That's one of my favorite pictures. I'd like to have that experience with my granddaughter.
Suddenly, every gap, every missing piece, every altered record looked like part of a bigger picture. And what emerged was damning. Multiple documents, according to journalists digging through archives, list different birth years for Meghan: 1975, 1979, and the official 1981. 3 birthdays for one person isn't an accident, critics argue. It suggests intent, a deliberate reshaping of her history. That's when the conversation escalated from gossip into something more dangerous: credibility. Meghan has built her post-royal brand on authenticity, on being the truth-teller standing up against a cold, outdated institution. But if she's not being truthful about something as basic as her own birth year, then the entire foundation crumbles. How do you sell authenticity when the receipts don't line up? The financial stakes are enormous. Netflix, Spotify, and publishers invested millions in Meghan and Harry's image as modern, groundbreaking voices. If her personal story falls apart, so does the marketability of her projects. Executives, insiders whisper, are already nervous. It's not just about underperformance, it's about ridicule.
So before she met Harry, you had no doubt she was your sister.
My little sister, though, I said.
If audiences think her authentic story is staged, her documentaries, books, and deals risk being remembered not as revelations, but as overproduced fiction. The cultural sting is even harsher. Meghan presented herself as a woman breaking barriers, defying the rigid structures of the monarchy. But if she really lied about her age, she didn't break the system, she bent to it. Hollywood has long punished women for aging, and instead of challenging that, she may have embraced it, erasing years to present herself as younger, fresher, more desirable. The irony is brutal. She branded herself as a champion of truth, but her critics argue she'll be remembered for the very opposite: performance. And this is the trap Meghan now finds herself in. Every time she sues someone, every time she carefully curates a photo release, every time a document surfaces, it reopens the vault.
August 4th, 40 years ago, Meghan was born, and she was born as a C-section, so she was put in my...
The Salsa Club photo comes back. Alumni stories resurface. The birth certificate debate reignites. She can't close the door because her own actions keep pushing it back open. For fans, the emotional fallout is real. Many feel duped. They defended Meghan against the palace, against tabloids, only to be confronted with the possibility that she was the one shaping a false story all along. And betrayal fuels obsession. People aren't just mocking Meghan, they're dissecting her, treating her life as a puzzle to be solved. The consequences ripple beyond her own reputation. If Meghan's memoirs, documentaries, or streaming deals are based on a shaky timeline, they risk collapsing under the same suspicion. History books rely on official dates. If Meghan's own biography doesn't hold up, then every future project tied to her name becomes suspect.
I believe she had a clear motive for writing family off because it would seemingly justify and perhaps delay the revelation of all of the lies that she had told the royal family.
And in the world of streaming and publishing, perception is everything. The nightmare scenario whispered among critics is this: what if Meghan Markle didn't just shave a few years off for Hollywood, but actually fooled the monarchy? A small vanity lie transforms into a royal-level scandal. Because when history is written, the monarchy's records aren't supposed to be rumor, they're supposed to be fact. If Meghan truly deceived them, it wouldn't just tarnish her, it would stain the crown itself. And that's why this rumor refuses to die. It's not just about numbers. It's about trust. Trust in a duchess who claimed to be authentic, trust in a monarchy that may have looked the other way, and trust in the media platforms now tied to her brand. Once trust is gone, it doesn't come back. Meghan wanted to be remembered as a modern royal who redefined tradition. But the story taking shape now is far darker. The Duchess with the missing years. The woman whose age became her undoing. The champion of truth undone by the one secret she couldn't control. Whether she's 42, 46, or older, the perception has hardened. Meghan Markle has something to hide. And in today's world, perception is reality. So, what happens next? Maybe Meghan addresses it directly, providing definitive proof. Maybe she locks everything tighter and hopes the noise dies down. But the internet doesn't wait. Once a rumor sticks, it becomes part of the story forever. Meghan may have dreamed of a fairy tale ending, but the version history remembers could be very different. A cautionary tale of how building a brand on edits and illusions always comes with a price. And that's where we are now. The fallout isn't just about her age, it's about the trust that has been shattered. Because if Meghan Markle's official biography can't be believed, the question becomes unavoidable: what other secrets are waiting to surface?